Hi traders, and welcome to the Technical Analysis Market Watch on Friday the 8th of December. So I've seen some good moves in the market this week on the indices and the currencies, especially on the US dollar yen. So we'll jump straight into the charts and see if we can identify any trades for today or early into next week. All right, so we'll start out here with the Aussie USD, and this behaved itself in a very good manner for what we were talking about last week. We can see that it was around this time that we were looking at resistance. We knew that we'd obviously pushed through a very strong band there at around that 66.20 mark, and we expected the pullback, and pullback it did all the way to the 20 moving average, which was our target. Now, that was a very, very good landing zone for it because it did coincide with a little bit of support through this area here. And really the rebound has happened fairly quickly as well. So the good thing about the 20 moving average as a catch point is because it's been really tracking up and moving in that direction anyway. So when you are getting momentum swings out of this area, you can see that we obviously had a bottom form here. And once price did get above the 20 moving average, it's maintained its level above it. That's when the 20 moving average really does act as a catch-all. So if we did get a close and it was trading below it again, it would be a very concerning thing for the Aussie USD, because really then the next probable support would be around that 65-cent mark. And at that point there, that is the last fail-safe, because we've obviously got a very big, strong support level that was resistance as well. So it's good that it caught it here because it means that the momentum has been basically captured. So you can see we've got a big move up. Yeah, it's about a 38.2 pullback of that. So if we drew a fib, that'd be about 38.2, and we've had a nice bounce off it. So it's coming into resistance again though, and it's already hit it. As you can see here, the 66.20 is a pretty strong resistance zone because we've got all that support right through there. So it still has to break that down before we start going for the highs again. But in order for us to make new highs from a technical standpoint, we needed it to do this. So if we are going to see an onward movement and get to around that 67 to 68 cent mark again and break this high at the 66 sort of 80 area, we do need this to hold up, and obviously this is the place we wanted it to stop. So hopefully for all of those who traded that to the 20 moving average, well done. But yes, this is a reversal point. If we continue that momentum and break through that 66.20, we can look to reach a new high and then look with a lot more confidence to get to that 67 and 68 cent mark on the Aussie. But good trading on it. Over to the US dollar CAD, very similar in the sense of hitting our target. We can see here that we pushed down where we needed to, obviously hit our target at 135, which is good. I know a few of you traded that because I got the email saying that you actually entered right at the right point. Actually, I saw the charts, which is very good. Look, it was an obvious catch point. We know we've got support here, so that was definitely the place to take profit. And the bounce off is pretty good as well. Look, all but reaching the 20 moving average and a little bit more strength in this area. The 20 moving average is dropping obviously every day at the moment. So realistically, what happens now is going to be very, very interesting. If we do hover around this zone or even push up to that resistance at around that 136.20 area, that would be a reasonable level to potentially short off again. Yeah, the momentum is still down. Yeah, we've obviously got a series of lower highs and lower lows, so the bigger trend is still down. There's no question about that. And if we do touch that 20 moving average and start to roll over, so if we see a series of lower highs and lower lows on the smaller time frame, we can look at getting back down to around that 135. If of course it breaks through and busts through the resistance and both moving averages, and we're trading above here, especially early next week, then we can look towards moving higher again. But it's got a lot of work to do before it does that. If it breaks down the resistance and that's where it's trading, that's perfectly fine. We're happy to trade whatever direction it goes. It's just a case of letting it do all the work first. Really still a scalping mode on the US dollar CAD. I wouldn't be looking at long-term positions just yet. Personally, I think the scalping between the zones that we've been talking about for weeks and weeks have served us very, very well. And I think they're still the right option because we haven't really got a continued and sustained long move. If we get a break below 135, we'll be talking a different story, because at that point, we'd be looking down to about a 133 move. But until it does that, and it may well, we wouldn't be looking at getting involved in that longer move. If we're looking for a short, we'd be looking at rollovers down to here and looking at taking profits around that 135. But of course, the momentum has to shift on the smaller time frame first. The US dollar yen was an interesting one. This has been a really, really big move. Look, there's obviously there's talk around what the Japan banks are doing. So yeah, we've seen an increase in strength that isn't really relevant to TA, I guess, in that sense. But the levels have been playing very, very nicely. Look, last week, we talked about it bouncing off this level here. It hit the resistance at 148. So we knew, at this point here, this is where we were last Friday. It hit that roll reversal zone. This is why roll reversal zones are so important. You can see here, that was going to be a very tough point for it to break through. And straight away it reversed. Basically, the next day it reversed and started selling off right through. This big move, you look at that on face value, that candle might have been hard to trade. But when you go to the smaller time frames, you already knew we were in a downward trend. I mean, we already had the lower high, lower low sequence. So it wasn't like we were surprised that we were in a downtrend already. So you're looking for shorting opportunities. And you've only got to go to the smaller time frames. I mean, if you go to probably even a 15-minute, if you're going to really scalp, you're hovering around that top band up here, which is the same level, obviously, at the 146.80. And then once it started to cycle down, you can see we're basically flat lining at this point here. But once we got the lightning bolt down and we got the series of lower highs and lower lows on a 15-minute chart, you were basically in on this candle here. You broke the support. You already had your lightning bolt. And if you missed that one, then it came back and tested it again here at 145.30. And then, of course, down it came again all the way down to it reached all the great lows. We probably wouldn't have gone all the way down there in one hit, of course, but the opportunities were there. The things we talk about every single week play out on all the time frames. It's really just a matter of getting down to the time frame that you're looking at trading. I would have been taking profit at the 144.80. Yes, it continued on, obviously, but that was really news related more than anything else. From a technical standpoint, the point you wouldn't want to take profit from this one is at around that 144.60 to 80 area. That would have been the right profit take, but at the same time, it may reverse back up there. And if it starts to circle higher, we'd look for a move back up to 146.80 and test that from below, and then look for some weakness from that point onwards. So be looking for a bit of a reversal from here and looking to get it back up to around this level here. If we get that, look for a rollover, and then we'll see a continued move if we get a lower high, lower low sequence on a smaller time frame. So good trading on the yen, but this candle past here, we need that to correct before we start getting excited about that one. Dollar index has also been good to us. It continued what we thought was going to be support and moved all the way to the 20 moving average and that resistance at 104.20. So no real surprise there. I know a few people traded the euro. I got those messages too, which is fantastic because that was the best trade, of course, when you're looking at the dollar index. But it did all the right things, went up to the 20 moving average and tested the 104, and then obviously sold off not long after, basically in this one candle, all the way back to 103.30. But of course, the euro is we're at support here, but the euro is the one we really want to look at because it's the one that will give us the best trading opportunities. So as you can see, the short continued. We knew we were at resistance, similar to the Aussie. That resistance was very obvious. And once we got those weakening candles on the Friday and the Monday, this was a pretty easy short, really, all the way down. It probably overshot a little bit, probably around that sort of 108 was probably the target that you'd have been aiming for. It certainly hit that and exceeded that. But again, it looks a bit awkward on the daily, but if you go down to a 15-minute or even probably a 1 hour, actually even a 1 hour would do the job on the euro. You can see it was just a bonanza of trading. Like all the things we talk about every single week, trading can be so simple sometimes when you follow a very direct path of a trading plan. And you knew we were weak way over here. We knew we were looking for shorting opportunities, and look how many shorting opportunities you got on the 1 hour, basically for about 3 days straight. Pull back to the 20, down, pull back to the 20, down, pull back to the 20, down, all the way down. Perfect trading, 101. I know a lot of people got about 4 or 5 entries there, which is great. That's the way we like to do it. And I'm very pleased to see it because that was a very, very good opportunity that was relatively obvious and very easy to trade when you look at the 1 hour chart and see all the things that we talk about every single week. So well done to everybody who got that. And finally, the S&P 500, look, we'll go to the daily to get the context. And we had a little bit of a move. It's been relatively sideways for the best part of a couple of weeks now. The ranges are getting a little bit bigger, yes. As you can see, like last week was very, very flat. This week, the ranges have been a bit bigger, but, really nothing has actually happened. We're still trading in a zone where we've basically created a bigger channel this week. Okay, you can see that the moves are bigger, but all of them are nearly the same length. So each day has been around the same movement, which is not a bad thing. It means that basically we're just getting a consolidation zone. What we're looking for now is two simple things: either a break above this level, above the 4600, And what we want to do is see a break above that and then come back and retest it. I wouldn't be interested in the first initial move. I'd like to see a break above that level first and then test it from above. Then we look at moving longer. And that's, that's a probable trade given that, we're moving into the potential Christmas rally that seems to, present at the tail end of December. But it may well pull back to the 20 moving average and this support zone first. And if it does that, that could be a potential loading zone for it as well, around that sort of 45, 20 area. You can see 20 moving averages there, and so is the support. So if it pulls back to here, we'd be looking at a rounding bottom and look for a series of higher highs and higher lows on a smaller time frame to get it back up to these levels. But if it does break through on the 4600 in the first move, and that's where it's trading next week, I'd be looking for a bit of a pullback to this level from above. And at that point, we'd look for long opportunities, but we'd wait for the smaller time frame change of trend to give us the higher high, higher low signals. So good trading all week, really. I think we've had some really good opportunities. The technicals have played the game really nicely. So hopefully you're able to catch some of those opportunities. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.